I'm just tripping when I realize what's going on here. Okay, so now that I've experienced what it's like to go out there in public, like on a Friday, around so many people, like in a restaurant for like an hour, and it took me 3 days to recover from that. Imagine someone who's on a therapeutic that is only protecting them, right? Building up mucus when it gets triggered by the exposure, by like two therapeutics, and they're going out in public. So imagine if someone was only exposed to 2 therapeutics that were protecting them from certain algorithms, but they got exposed to other ones, so they were building up a defense, and and they had some sort of acclimation. Okay, and so then okay, they still might have an issue, or who knows, they might have the aging process, might have cancer disease, who knows, okay? So there's that. So imagine now you get a therapy that protects you against everybody. Like when they've taken all the different samples from the different testing centers, and they're taking those different proteins and they're purifying them, and they're separating out the spike proteins and putting them in some kind of therapeutic that then is housed inside of a host that is supposed to then activate your immune system to then build up antibodies that are going after specific algorithms. Imagine that now they have all of your DNA from all the different variants, from all the different testing centers, and they developed a pancinne. What's a pancinne? It's a pan-coronavirus therapeutic. It means that every single variant of the coronavirus that we've all been exposed to on some level, all of us chili juice people who aren't doing any of the therapeutics, who aren't doing anything like that, we will be dealing with that. We'll be coughing it out. But imagine somebody, and we have an open system, but imagine someone who already has a closed system, relatively closed system, and they get some kind of pancinne, okay? You know how fast, when you get exposed to so many people from a hyperactive immune system protecting you against every single variant, which is every single person out there, imagine how fast things will come to surface. And like I said, like you can go into a crowd. Like I went into a crowd, like into that restaurant. I didn't feel anything until I got home, right? And I was coughing stuff out. It wasn't that aggressive, but whatever. I'm used to everybody out there giving me all their stuff. But someone who is then getting a therapy against everyone in their environment, and they're taking on all the DNA from people in the crowds, and they go home, they're going to have such an aggressive development of the mucus that they won't get the luxury of cancer, disease, and chronic illness, because that is when you're getting a slow trickle of mucus that is accumulating. And it's doing a negative, right? Which means that your body is going to trigger a positive, or it's going to do the whole fighting against each other, which is the autoimmune disorders. But no, they're going to eradicate cancer, disease, and chronic illness in the future, if not already. And how do you eradicate cancer, disease, and chronic illness? Well, a weak person who cannot handle an aggressive environment, which is something as aggressive as the coronavirus, and they are exposed to such a high amount of algorithms because of their hyper immune system. See, when you have a very strong immune system, it's not naturally working for you. I'm not saying a weak immune system is also working for you, but that you have to have a balance where you're able to release and retain. But when you have such a strong immune system and a weak body, you realize your immune system is going to cannibalize you. You're going to produce, when you think about it, you're going to produce that much mucus as soon as your body activates, because of the amount of different mucus, virus mucus, with all the different programming that your body is supposed to be protected against from your therapeutics. That is going to develop so quickly overnight. How many people are going to be able to survive That's why, those that have been able to handle all of these variants, okay. But now imagine somebody getting a therapeutic against all the variants and they're coughing it out. Then anyone that didn't get exposed to a certain variant from another place will then be exposed to that variant and have to deal with it. And yeah, but but that's a relatively strong person that can handle different aspects of someone's pancinne. But a person who is taking the pancinne for everything in the environment, then they have to stay home. They couldn't go out there because they will keep activating their immune system, of which when you're activating your immune system against everything you're around, not just one or two algorithms, but everything. When you have 6 or 7, when you have 50, I don't know how many variants of this COVID there are, but if you take 50 variants of COVID and you put them all in a spike protein or in some kind of therapeutic, all in one therapeutic, and you give that to somebody, they couldn't leave the house. If they did, a strong person would probably be okay and cough it out, or, they have enough room to develop the mucus and potentially, but it'll probably take years off their life or they get cancer. If not, well, probably not. It just depends. But a relatively, weak person would not be able to handle their environmental exposure with crowds of people. And I know they have studied this. I know they have taken someone who is strong, someone who's weak, someone who's in the middle of the road, and given them something like this, and it could be something like a flu type of pancinne, and then they see how that person reacts. But again, they're telling you they're trying to take away cancer in the future. And cancer is your third line of defense. That's when you cannot lengthen your telomeres, you're not producing a baby, and so what's the next thing? It's going to be cancer, carcinoma, teratoma, sarcoma. And that is wow. Because I'm just thinking, like, when someone takes, usually the people who are really weak will take that type of pancinne. Because when you're that weak, yeah, you think that you're protected. And then when your loved ones are like, wow, Dottie passed away, what happened? And then the family will blame the people who didn't get the pancinne. They'll never understand that they just have, her immune system was activated to such an aggressive extent because of how highly strong her immune system was from the therapeutics, that her body couldn't handle the onslaught, couldn't handle the mucus production. It drowned her or took away substance that she needed to keep her vital organs going. And that is wow. Holy wow. Because I know how much that mucus was coming to surface a couple hours after I left that establishment. That told me how aggressive that environment was. That's what I'm saying. Once you go out there, when you're not cured, you'll know exactly what your body's going through and how much it accumulates and why you feel the way you feel. And so, when people don't make that correlation that they are being fertilized at the micro level from everybody and their mother, from all these viruses that are doing a number on them, holy shit. When you don't feel what's going on, and then you're like, well, I don't know where I got cancer from. I don't know. And then they start blaming like all the other things. They blame the air, water, the food, and whatever, people's habits, which, yeah, it's all a contributory reason. But the real thing is that they were all under the cures, that they didn't understand how aggressive that concert was. They didn't understand how aggressive that party was. They didn't understand that in a pandemic, you're not supposed to hang out with a bunch of people, especially if you've been fighting a disease. But remember, people don't want to change their lifestyle or belief system. So, okay, that's their right. You can't legislate morals. But yeah, that thing, when I was doing the studies on cervical cancer and birth control, and then I saw the correlation between the mucus plug that is developed when you're taking birth control for a woman who doesn't want to get pregnant, and then then we're taking therapies and things to develop mucus, and then we get exposed to people who are causing us to develop mucus. And when you're not releasing the mucus, what does it turn into? Even though the mucus can be programmed to allow things to proliferate or bring up proteins, yes, but also take away substance or block nutrition. And so, yeah, when you're exposed to so many people and you're not cured, yeah, you'll feel the mucus and it'll come out of you, But people who don't feel the mucus, it's accumulating inside of them. It's agglutinating. It's thickening their blood. And it just takes another virus to come in and cause more of the cell replication. And then people don't last. They don't survive from heart attacks and strokes. They don't wake up. That's fucking crazy. Again, when you feel the mucus through your first lines and your second lines, if it has to happen through your second lines because your first lines, I've had a few of those, not too many, where you've shit your pants and y'all wasn't doing J juice. But I've done that where I farted and like, oh shit, there's that fart, literally. But that'll happen maybe once or twice through this COVID pandemic. But mostly it's been my nose that I've been feeling the onslaught of my defense system really building up to release. But if this right here is atrophied because you took out tonsils or you're taking Mucinex or other things like that, everything is coming in and mucus is accumulating inside and it is metastasizing. And you won't know when something is going to then be the straw that breaks the camel's back. That's what's so freaking crazy. So that's why, you don't want to take anything for pain, especially for those that aren't doing the J juice, but aren't doing all the therapies out there, not taking all the painkillers. And there's like my husband, he feels pain. He feels back pain every so often because of whatever he's doing. And he feels stuff. And okay, I tell him, you just need to take some salt, Jason. Just take some salt and drink a shot of salt water, eat a higher sodium diet. I understand that you don't want to do waterfalls, but he probably needs to. But, that's fine. We'll figure it out. But I do get concerned for him, because of how aggressive this environment is, and knowing so many people in my environment are going to be taking the therapies and they're going to think that there'll be another magic bullet out there. And that's what's crazy. And then he'll be exposed to that. So, I have my own concerns, but whatever, but I just do the best I can. But I have to warn you guys that when they say no cancer, disease, and chronic illness in the future, that means that if you're weak and you get exposed to an aggressive virus, it'll take out the weak. And so only the strong will survive. And that's the whole point, is to take everyone down to the strongest prototype. So the strong will now have a better DNA projection to then strengthen other people. And if another person can handle that DNA and get stronger, that's the strong lifting up the strong. Because you have to have a strong prototype to assimilate to. If you have a strong prototype out there that can handle all of this stuff, then the weaker ones that can't assimilate, they'll be washed away. They will be recycled back in the universe. And that is what's going on. Even though I trip out on the strategy, I know it's necessary, but I trip out on it. But I also am marveling because it is a progressive chipping away at the weak. And so we can't have what happened in World War II. We can't have what happened in the Cultural Revolution or in third world countries where they're doing such medieval stuff. And so this is the intellectual strategy of giving the intellectuals the choice. Because even those that have only like high school education, you are still smart enough to be in America. You just haven't figured out your potential. But you're smart enough to change the way you do shit. Okay? And so you in the West have a chance to understand that that you don't have to die from these from other people's therapies or these viruses. They'll be mutating as they come in contact with each other, because every single time two people get together, they don't have to have actual coitus. Their mucus is what is inseminating each other. They are inseminating each other, fertilizing each other with the mucus. And when they spit out their defense system, that's a new viral baby. That's a new variant. That's going to be representation in someone else's body if they are fertile as far as a reproductive system. Okay? And it's a chain reaction. Sometimes that will stop somewhere with someone who is just so cured and doesn't feel anything. And so it's now incubating in their body and it's not causing any kind of reproduction or any kind of evolution, but the person will eventually suddenly break down, if not already, or they're under so many therapies, and then that eventually turns into something. whether it's a baby or it's cancer or it's an autoimmune disorder, because it's a programmed mucus that is trying to attack it because it was programmed against a viral variant out there. That we shouldn't program ourselves against anything, because then you're causing conflict, you're causing a war in your body as well as in your society. So yeah, anything that is a pancinne, which is taking all the COVID variants that they've ever found through all the COVID testing centers and putting them inside of an actual therapeutic, and now a person is protected against our society, but they could not leave their fucking house. They would have to stay home, and even if they breathe the air outside, they're risking that their body's going to get activated and cause the mucus replication in their body, which then potentially could either do a vital organ failure or cause potential cancer. But people are not going to stay in their house and just poke their nose outside. They're gonna, if they're all protected with a therapeutic, they're gonna go out there and trigger their immune system, and then bam, the rapture. That's how fast mucus can develop inside the body. And if you can't feel it, then again, it'll thicken up the blood, and that's where the heart attacks, strokes, and aneurysms happen. And they're like, oh, but everything is FDA approved. Well, of course, it's not poison. Nothing is poison what you put in your body. It's when you go out there and activate your immune system is what triggers the chain reaction of events. And so they're telling you, wear a mask, stay home, stay safe. Here's the delivery services. We have jobs where you can work from home. Get on disability if you have a diagnosable condition. So they're giving you all the options not to trigger your immune system to such a level to cause then that chain reaction of events. But you know how people are. Oh, I'm going to go get the V, I'm going to go get the therapeutic, and I'm going to go out there, hang out with everybody, and go to the bars, and go to concerts, and go do this. And they don't survive their lifestyle. That is what's going to happen. It's already happening now, and people are only doing 1 or 2 therapies. That's offered by Pfizer and Moderna, and whatever else. But imagine a pancinne. Again, they are perfectly safe. They're FDA approved. It's when the person takes themselves out of their homogenized zone and they activate their immune system. And then the fast replicating mucus. And mucus is a great data. It's great information, but it also can be so much information on a body at a deficit. And that's who is not going to survive these pandemics, are people with bodies at a major deficit. And so you have the chance to open up your system, because closed systems will not survive the vast amount of mucus in their body developing, or protein replication. I mean, when you are having cell replication because your body's producing proteins to protect you against everything in your fucking environment, that's exponential. That happens so quickly. Just look at time-lapse photography when you're seeing a cell replicate based upon a new viral entity. You see how fast it replicates? Imagine when your body's producing proteins to protect you against 50 zillion variants. You know how fast that mucus replicates, how fast those proteins replicate, and then it turns into mucus and clogs the arteries and capillaries? The therapies people don't understand this, because they're looking at it from one side of the point of view. They're only looking at it from a very biased point of view. Oh, protection against what? Protection against this virus. Well, stay your ass at home if you don't want to get hit by a virus. But I don't want to stay home. Then, okay, fine. So now you have your immune system activating against a virus that you can't help but be around because you're around people. And do you have the substance to produce those proteins? And can you handle that much protein replication accumulation? That's what the therapies market does not understand. But they don't care, because remember, it's a business. Half the responsibility is for the therapies giving you what you're paying them to do. The other half is your responsibility as a human. You look at the side of the bottle, you look at the back of the bottle, you look at the inserts, you look at your lifestyle, and if you choose to put yourself out there to activate your immune system, then you have no one to blame but yourself. And the products are not going to tell you what you should do with your life, because you ultimately are the one that's choosing to activate your immune system by going out there in public, knowing that your body is going to produce proteins. But maybe people are not that smart when it comes to understanding biochemistry. If they don't feel it, it doesn't fucking exist. If they don't see it, it doesn't exist. And when you just don't wake up, Then okay, then you don't wake up, you're not suffering. You had a great life. Good for you. You lived your life to the fullest. You went out there like you wanted to. You went out there like you wanted to, knowing that the insert said this could happen. And you took that risk because, hey, it's all about living free. It's all about being free. And you went out there without a mask in a crowd of people with a therapy that protected you against everybody. And now you're in that vicinity of people who you're being protected against. And then, wow, your immune system activated so quickly, it zapped you out of existence. That's the scary thing about all of this. But again, we're in the Georgia Guidestones. This is necessary. And we're tired of people suffering from cancer disease and chronic illness. We're tired of all of the autoimmune disorders. We're tired of all the people with their food allergies. And so this is the best way they can do it. You have a choice. Open your system up or close it up, and then you will have the accumulation cannibalize you. All right, bye.